Hello, everyone. Ful-on, your Fulham Central Football Podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Joining me this week is AJ. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are yous?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Excited for this weekend's game. Drew, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Hope you're all well too.
Yeah, good. And Matt, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Cheers.
Obviously, we're here to preview this weekend's West London derby against Brentford, a game which year on year takes on more significance, I think. Should be a good game on Saturday. Let's sort of break it down the best way we can. AJ, I'm going to ask this question. I ask it every week, don't I? Let's look at the squad and the team that played last week against Leeds. What changes do you think we
hmm
need to make going into this game against Brentford?
Well, let's go from the back and work our way forward. I think defensively, it might be time to start seeing Robinson start. I don't know what his fitness levels are like at the moment, but maybe we see him come back into the lineup. Outside of that, I don't expect to see much change apart from hopefully the departure of Iwobi from the starting lineup in place of Kevin. But I will hold my hands up and say I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll get a cameo much earlier on, maybe 50th, 60th minute, but I don't think that he will start the game over Iwobi. Outside of that, I don't expect anything else to change.
I think it's going to be an interesting one because whether or not we stick and twist with Kevin, considering that we know Marco wants him to get settled before he sort of throws him in playing full swings of games, but he definitely was a massive difference maker in the game on Saturday against Leeds. I know we got really fortunate in the sense of the way the winner was scored, but you know he really sort of lit up the cottage when he came on Saturday. Drew, looking into let's talk about Kevin. I think we have to because he's the sort of the main player there. Do you think this is the sort of game where maybe we risk him and start him, or do we go, you know what, you made such a difference from the bench last week, we do the same, but maybe give you a bit more time this week?
Um, Silva being naturally conservative, I'm not entirely sure that he's going to think that it's the right game to throw him in. I would like to see him start, but it may well be that Silva opts for what he knows. Subject to injury, of course. I mean, if anything happens in training, I think Iwobi will start. Where he will start, I don't know. And a lot depends on what Brentford do. I mean, there's suspicions they might go five at the back, but I mean, I would, yeah, I mean, I would. We're at home. Yeah, we've come off the back of a win. I'd definitely like us to go for it. I don't see Brentford. I mean, I can't see how they can do what they did last time, score early and just sit there, because they know how that ended. I watched them against Villa, and they were unlucky to go behind. I mean, it was a mistake that put Villa ahead. But yeah, I mean, everyone wants to see Kevin, don't they? I mean, he lit up Craven Cottage. So, but I don't. I'm not entirely sure Silva will do it. I'd love him to, though. Be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Actually, let's look at Brentford briefly. You know, we know there's been an awful lot made about them being raided over the summer, and you know they've lost players, they've lost their manager. You know, Keith Andrews isn't somebody I necessarily rate as a manager. He was a set piece coach for a reason. He wasn't even that great of a footballer when he played. Let's be honest. But you know they've got some good players still in that squad. You know they signed a decent goalkeeper in Kelleher. I know that he's prone to mistakes, but he's not a bad goalkeeper. Uh, they finally got Igor fit and playing up front. You know, so what are you expecting from them come Saturday, especially considering that you know these derbies tend to be quite tight and quite hard fought.
Yeah, I think initially they'll be sitting back, mainly focusing on defending. and try and not to have the ball in their half as much as they can. And then once the game settles and the players settle into the atmosphere, I think that's whenever they'll start to go more of a attacking presence, which I think, depending on the formation that they go for, could lead to defensive mistakes. But in saying that, with Igor being back fit, if he comes and shows up, I think it could be a test for our defence. But generally speaking, I reckon that during those 15 minutes, 20 minutes where they are sitting back and trying to get grasp of the game, I do think mistakes will be made which could lead to goals, which will then put them on to the sort of, we need to be more defensive and try the counter attack, which I don't think will work for them either.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. We'll talk about some players. There's obviously, I know we've mentioned Igor and stuff when we do our sort of match predictions, as we always do. But it's one of those games for me where this game is probably the West London derby I don't want to lose. If you look at the Fulham Chelsea game and the Fulham Brentford game, we want to win the Chelsea game, but we lose it. It's no real shock. This is the one we don't want to lose. This is like Brentford fans are annoying when they win, and we definitely don't want it to happen. AJ, going into a game like this on Saturday night, what mentality do we need to have to make sure that, we just play our game, play football the way we know we can? Maybe not have a performance like we did against Leeds, because there was a lot going on in that Leeds game, which was really almost not what we want to see. It was on Fulham like, on Marco Silva like it sometimes. But what we've got to go into this game and do in order just to play football the way we want to play it.
We've got to be very careful not to go into the game taking it for granted. It's very easy as fans to sit there and go, well, they've lost their manager, they've lost all their star players, they're up and down in the league so far, which is still better than everyone was expecting them to do. It should be easy sailing for us. If that mentality bleeds into the squad, we get complacent, we start fucking about, frankly, and it causes us our own problems. And we have a tendency to do that against teams where we think we should probably beat them anyway. And the last thing we want to do is do that at home to Brentford and give them the luxury of being able to walk out of the cottage taking anything from the game, whether it be a point or 3. So I think we really need to take the balls by the horn and just absolutely go for it and show them that we are more than capable of treating them like big boys and laying them over like big boys too.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because we look at the 2 games against Brentford last year. They were very tight games. The game of the cottage, they took the lead through their only shot on target. And it was from distance, and it was really nothing. And then we basically spent 65 minutes just bombarding their goal. And it took us, 65 minutes. Yes, we scored 2 amazing goals, and it was great experience to score 2 goals in injury time to win a derby. But 65 minutes of being knocking on door. One of the things we know has to improve this year is our ability to put the ball in the box and to score goals. And we saw that Kevin can do that on Saturday. He's very eager to get the ball in the box, very keen to do that. Drew, we've had this discussion about Iwobi and him being the player out on the wing and stuff like that too. Is this the time when, he has to really be reminded that, if he wants to play, he wants to be that starting player out on the wing, he has to improve, because as good as he is, some of the performances we've seen have been a bit lackluster here and there. Or is it a case of maybe now is the time we take the opportunity to move him in midfield, like I know that you do and other people want to see with Iwobi?
I'm not so sure it's a case of having to remind him he needs to play well. I mean, he's a senior pro now. I mean, he's been around long enough. He should know what's required. The concerns that I have with him are, number one, Silva seems to pick him come rain, wind or shine. Now, while that may give a player a sense of security, it can also mean they're quite complacent. The other thing is, and Ash, you made this point quite forcefully, especially towards the end of last season, and you did a couple of weeks ago as well. Iwobi is getting older. He's never been a pace merchant, and he's very one-footed. His performances fell off a cliff in the second half of last season, and that is not a criticism of him. That's just the fact that Silva's so heavily reliant on him, and he never rotates him. So I think that Iwobi's there's now more competition. Iwobi is obviously, I mean, he's not, I mean, what is he, 30 now? I mean, he's not over the hill by any stretch of imagination, but he's obviously not as sprightly as he once was. And it's noticeable when Robinson doesn't play, because we obviously lack the speed that Robinson brings, but Robinson covers for the fact that Iwobi is very one-footed and always checks inside. So I would like to think that the evolution of the squad and the team will see Iwobi's role change. I am not, just to make it clear, in favour of dropping him, because I still think he can be massively influential on the way we play. But I would just like to see him. I'd just like to see him in different positions, specifically one where he doesn't have to check back in all the time, because the amount of times Fulham, when they break, have to check their runs because, you know, we've got this inverted winger infatuation. I've never really had questions about Alex's attitude at all. I just think it's overuse, and I just think that you know, Silva, as much as we all love him, definitely has blind spots in respect of certain players. I mean, Pereira was the classic example. I mean, you know, you had 80% of the Cottage could not work out why he was doing set pieces, or at one point was taking penalties. But Silva seemed to think it was okay. And I do think that when it comes to Iwobi, there is a little bit of that with him. I mean, you've got to remember, Silva, I believe he bought him twice. Or I don't know if he took him to Everton, but he definitely brought him from Everton. So he clearly holds him in high regard. But as I've said, I've never really questioned Alex's attitude. It's more of the over-reliance on him and the fact that he's incredibly one-footed, and we just need more now. Because as you said, Ash, one of the big problems, and we talked about this last season, Fulham can't get, especially last season, we were all worried about Fulham getting involved in shootouts because we knew we didn't have the firepower. But with the two new wingers, we might well do. Only if we play them, of course.
Yeah. So, Drew, in your opinion, would this be maybe the opportunity to give Chukwueze a chunker game as well on Saturday, or is maybe this game? I don't want to say too important, or is it one of those ones where he also needs to be embedded in first?
Can I answer your question with a question? Sorry to step over you, Drew.
No, not at all, mate.
Who put the ball in the Brentford net?
I'm no doubt Harry Wilson's going to start the game on Saturday. I'm more talking about
Leeds.
Yeah, I'm more talking about. Is this? Are we looking to maybe go? You know, 60th minute. This is when we bring on Kevin and Chukwueze to have a go, or do we stick with Traore, who, let's be fair, hasn't had bad games this season when he's come on. He's done everything he's needed to do, but it's the end product that we need a bit more from him, right? And you made that point about him last week on Saturday when he came on. He was actually pretty decent against Leeds. It's just, or do we look at it and go, this is the opportunity now where we have these two new wingers that are both meant to be quite pacey and both meant to have a decent end product? Do we twist them, not start them, but use them on Saturday?
Going back to your point, Ash, if we brought them on the 60th minute, if we bring both on the 60th minute, that would indicate to me we're chasing the game, so we could be in trouble. If it was me, and you were asking me, I would like to be to steal AJ's quote. I'd like to grab the balls by the horn, and I'd like to be aggressive. And I'd like to go for it, because I would rather we revert to what we would consider Silva's normal lineup when we're 2-0 up. You know what I mean? Because everyone knows their roles, and we'd probably be more solid defensively. But you've got to remember, I mean, no one's seen Samuel at all. Fulham fans haven't seen him, and Brentford haven't seen him. And Kevin's been a 15-minute lightning in a bottle, so you could surprise him. I mean, I will be more nervous if it's tighter and we're doing what you suggest and bringing him on at the 60th minute, because I'd be worried then. I mean, we could be 5-0 up and we're just giving a run out and see how it goes. But realistically, if we're bringing on those two wingers at that time, that means we're probably chasing the game. And Brentford, say what you want about them, they're going to be well disciplined. They may have lost players, but they still know how to play football. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for Harry Wilson, waving his magic wand last season, they held out for 90 minutes. So they're no mugs. They're absolutely no mugs. But yeah, I think if you're asking me the question, I don't think Samuel will start. I think you're more likely, if he's going to be attacking, you're more likely to see Traore and Kevin, because of the way the game finished on Saturday and how they stretch. Remember, I talked about Leeds review, talked about how they stretch the field horizontally. But I don't expect to see it. I expect to see exactly the same starting lineup pretty much. But yeah, the answer to your question is I'd love to see him go with the two from the off, and then get a lead, and then revert to what we call Silva's Fulham.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Matt, I'm going to ask you the last question before we go into our match predictions. We know that from history of these two games that midfield is always the important part, right? We know this is going to be a game where Lukic and Berger are going to really have to be on it, right? Do we stick with that, or do we maybe go, we need someone who's good at having control on the ball, and maybe think about Tom Kenny in a game like this? Or do we go, no, we need to just make sure that we've got complete control of that midfield and stick with the two players that are probably Silva's preferred in that position?
I'd say go with the younger Lukic and Sander Berger, just because they work quite well together. Yes, they both get a couple of mistakes in them each, but it can be dealt with easier. Whereas starting Kearney, it slows the play down a little bit, which then gives them more time to think about where they can go and think about what they can do to get through our defence. Starting with the two regulars, I'd say gives us the better option under the condition that they're both more as defensive, instead of one being more of a box to box and one being more of a defensive. They both need to be sort of middle. I wouldn't have it as a box to box defensive. So because we need them there to block out the passage of play. It's like Reece Nelson, if he plays on Saturday, he was only with us last season. He knows how the team think. So that could be one of the key aspects to think about going into this. But for me personally, definitely Sander Berger, Sasa Lukic, both playing defensive.
Yeah, I think it's a fair shout. All right, lads, let's finish this one how we always do. Match predictions, players to watch from both teams, and a scoreline prediction, please. AJ, I'll start with you, mate. Player to watch from both teams and a scoreline prediction.
3-1 Fulham, Fabio Cavallo, and Wobie for all the wrong reasons.
Okay, fair enough. That's nice and quick. Drew, how about yourself, mate?
I think Carvalho scores. I think that he's going to have a rebirth under Andrews, who started to play him and played him. He's playing him more in a role that's akin to where Silva played him. Although I haven't seen him drop deep and carry the ball yet, he's definitely sort of playing him behind the striker, which is where Carvalho was born to play. This is so difficult. If we go with Silva's Fulham, I think it's going to be tight. I don't see us scoring a lot of goals. I think it may be. I so want to pick Fulham, but I've got a nasty feeling it might be 1-1.
Okay, that's fine. Usually, when we're negative or a little bit on the fence, we get results. So I'm okay with that. Matt, how about you, mate? Player to watch from both teams and the score prediction.
Reece Nelson, if he plays, definitely, because I think he could be a game changer coming up against us with him playing for us last season, like I said. For us, I think Kevin will start over Harry Wilson. So I'm going to go Kevin on that. And I reckon it's going to be a 3-1 win Fulham.
Okay, well for me, you know, Brentford have got a few good players. Igor Thiago is definitely a player, a striker we have to watch out for. He is big, he is quick, and he has a good first touch. Uh, Jordan Henderson is a player you can never write out. I know he's a bit older now, but he is a quality player and he can cause damage. I'm also slightly worried about Reece Nelson coming in and playing because we all know how much I rated Reece Nelson last year at Fulham. I thought he was a good player, just a bit unlucky with injuries. For us, it'll be boring just to say Kevin's the player to watch out for because we don't know what we're going to see for him. I imagine this is going to be one of those games where Sasha Lukic and Sander Berger are going to have to really be on it, and it could be one of those games where if one of those two have a standout game, it will really be noticeable, especially for us. Scoreline wise, I'm going 3-1, but I almost don't know who to. I'm going to go 3-1 to us. Obviously, I want to be positive, but I reckon it could be one of those games where we either take a nice early lead and we ease the game, win 3-1, or Brentford score and then in us chasing the game, they get a couple more. And it wouldn't be that surprising if that happened. It'd be nice, though, to get 3 wins in a row against them. Hopefully, we can do that. Lads, thank you very much for joining me on this match preview. We have a busy one at the end of this weekend, obviously, with the match review of this one and preparing for the League Cup game next week. Hope everyone does enjoy the game who's going on Saturday. Hopefully, Fulham can get a nice result, a nice 8 p.m. on a Saturday night kickoff. Who's not looking forward to that, eh? Not really much more to say other than enjoy your weekends and come on you whites.